March 8th, 1997, Los Angeles. Rap superstar Notorious B.I.G., real name Christopher Wallace, and his label boss Sean Puffy Combs are in town to shoot a video for Biggie's new album, Life After Death. That evening, they attend a Soul Train Awards after-party sponsored by Vibe magazine.
We decided to go out to the party because we were trying to be out and being seen, and a lot of people were coming and giving us positive greetings.
We were just partying and just having fun.
Puff asked for the bottles. Said, how many bottles you got? Yo, bring me all the bottles you got. So he basically bought out the bar.
The place was so full of smoke by midnight, the fire marshal said, we're going to have to shut this down.
They was ordering everybody to leave, but we had a whole entourage of people with us. We was going to go to another club.
We got into the cars. My car was in front. Biggie was in the vehicle behind.
Both vehicles proceed to the intersection of Fairfax and Wilshire. As the traffic signal turns red, Puffy Suburban runs the light while Biggie stops. A black Chevy Impala creeps up, inches away from Big.
I was behind Big in the passenger seat talking to some females on the sidewalk, and maybe like a second later, this Impala pulled up.
I was in the car with Puff. We heard something go, pop, 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 pop.
Everybody in the car ducked down.
We were screaming, they shooting at Big. We viewed around, we see the killer turn the corner. We parked directly in front of Big's car.
I had jumped out, I had ran to the car. I opened up the door and I was trying to talk to him.
Big just leaned over the car with his eyes kind of open. He just had this look on his face like, can you believe it? Like, these got me.
While Puffy stays behind with Big, the other SUV speeds off after the killer.
Me and Tone, another guy who was rolling with us, took after the guy. He was going down Wilshire Boulevard, and he was gunning it. Tone's a maniac in driving, but every time he get to like 90, the car would go all the way back down because it had some kind of government chip on that particular Suburban.
For safety reasons, Suburbans from 1995 to 1998 included a mandatory chip that would automatically reduce speed when the vehicle exceeded 90 miles per hour. A valve connected to the fuel pump closes, cutting gas flow to the engine, slowing the car down.
Where this cat go? I don't know, man. Did they make a left?
He got out of our sight, and we didn't have a chance. That was real frustrating. So we went back to the scene of the shooting.
As Puffy's bodyguards give up the chase, a 911 call is made at 12:49 a.m. Police dispatch sends out an emergency call.
Shots fired, reported at 6060 Wilshire Boulevard. All units in the area respond.
Now, when we get back to Big's car, we decide we're going to take him to the hospital.
We ran every light, jumping on the curb, sidewalks. We was trying the quickest way to get him to the hospital.
I was talking to him, but I wasn't hearing anything. He wasn't saying anything.
So we get to the hospital. I jump out the car. The gurney comes.
That guy needs some help here.
Everybody helped to pick him up and got him on the stretcher.
Took like 6, 7 dudes to get him out the car. And when we got him out the car, he wasn't bleeding at all.
Oh, the gurney, oh, the gurney.
Biggie's upper torso has been penetrated by 4 bullets. Despite massive internal damage, he isn't bleeding externally. 390 pounds, Big has extra fat tissue that pushes down on the bullets and traps blood inside the chest wall. Doctors rush Biggie into surgery. He has no vital signs as they attempt to resuscitate him.
The doctors administered fluids, they administered blood, they opened his chest to be able to do some open cardiac massage to see if they were able to give him a chance to survive.
Doctors do everything they can, but at 1:15 a.m., Christopher Wallace is pronounced dead.
They came and told us, that he had passed, and it was just unbelievable.
It was crazy for me. I think that's the first time I couldn't hold back my tears.
It's the last thing I thought that Big would be dead, but it was reality. It was real. Everybody was in there with this phone in their hand because we had to make a decision on who was going to call his mother. Nobody wanted to make that phone call to tell her mother her only son has passed away. D-Rock was the only one muscle up enough heart to say, you know what, give me the phone. As soon as he got on the phone, he was already crying. And she was just like, why is this grown man crying on this other line? And he just told her that Big just passed away. She dropped the phone, hysterical crying.
As Biggie loses his fight for life, back at the crime scene, LAPD officers begin their investigation.
I get to the crime scene. As a lead detective, I'm responsible for collecting the evidence, coordinating witnesses. Some witnesses hung around. There was very few.
A few witnesses solidified the description of the vehicle being a black Chevy Impala.
Most of those interviews didn't provide much. I hear some shots. I hear the car speed off.
No one even got a partial plate.
Police do manage to find one concrete clue.
There wasn't a lot of evidence at the scene except broken glass and bullet casings. The only thing was that the ammunition was a very unusual ammunition. It was 9mm, but it was a brand called Gecko, which is generally not seen on the West Coast.
You hope it's a simple, clear case, and hopefully one day you can go back and tell Ms. Walls, hey, I found out who did it. The person's in custody. But in this case, there's not much evidence, so the task's going to be harder than you want it to be.
I think one of the big mistakes made in the investigation was not moving it to the robbery homicide unit. Those guys are trained to do homicides. This is their expertise.
It's hard to say why robbery homicide wasn't put on the case immediately. You got to go with supposition. Chief of Police Bernard Parks didn't see Biggie Smalls as a celebrity. I mean, he's not worth robbery homicide.
At 9 a.m., key witnesses arrive at the Wilshire station to be interviewed.
So they questioned us, asked us, did we see the person? It wasn't that long enough for us to really recognize the face or nothing. It was just real quick. They kept trying to get a sketch, and we just knew he was black, and he had a bow tie.
A few people who were on the street also helped the cops put together a composite.
Using various eyewitness descriptions, a composite artist pieces together a sketch of the killer. He is smooth-faced, with a medium complexion and fade haircut, wearing a light blue suit and bow tie.
Witnesses said the shooter looked like a member of the Fruit of Islam, which is the security wing of the Nation of Islam.
There's a certain uniform look that the Fruits of Islam people have, and this guy had it to the T. There have long been stories in law enforcement about members of the Fruits of Islam working as contract killers.
On March 10th, the day after the shooting, detectives hold a press conference to present the sketch of the shooter.
I believe when we make the arrest, and I'm hoping that there will be a very good similar appearance between our composite and the murder suspect.
The release of the composite generates a barrage of phone calls, but no new leads. However, it does jar the memory of Eugene Deal, the bodyguard who had been riding in Puffy's Suburban.
When investigators spoke with Eugene Deal, he placed a man that matched the description of the shooter outside the entrance to the Vibe party.
The guy had walked directly towards Puff's car. He had a blue suit, bow tie. We looked at each other eye to eye. He didn't say anything to me. Nothing. I made sure that he knew I was good. You understand? And he looked at me, walked away, and walked right back down the street. Basically out of sight.
I believe the shooter was watching every move that the Biggie Smalls entourage was making.
Early on in the investigation, police make what some see as a critical error. At a press conference, they reveal that the murder weapon was a 9mm.
It was a very fast sequence of events with a 9mm weapon.
To give the information out, to me, it was a mistake. Lieutenant Moore let the information out, and he came back to me like 3 minutes later, and he apologized for doing that, because if I was the suspect, if I had a 9mm gun, what would I do with my gun? Would I keep it? Heck no, that thing's gone.
On March 11th, Biggie's car is towed to a forensics lab to be analyzed. Ballistics evidence shows that the gunman fired 6 shots into Biggie's passenger door below the window. 4 bullets hit Biggie. Another was lodged inside the door, and the last was recovered in the left side of the rear seat. Bullet trajectory shows that the shots were fired at an upward angle, which would indicate the shooter was indeed in a vehicle lower to the ground.
The analysis supported eyewitness accounts that bullets were fired into the Suburban